Elena grumbled under her breath. What a waste, as she flung the album onto the coffee table as if it were worthless. I looked at her, my heart sinking. What's this supposed to be? She sneered, waving her hand at the custom photo book I'd poured hours into making. This is all you managed? A bunch of snapshots and sappy junk? You're absurd, Sarah. My fingers gripped the edge of my seat, but I kept my composure. I figured you'd like something heartfelt. It's a record of our shared moments, all we've experienced side by side. She scoffed. What we've experienced? Give me a break. I'm done with this over-the-top mushy stuff. You could have picked something practical, but no, you squander your effort on this drivel. It's humiliating. I inhaled deeply, hiding the hurt from her sharp remarks. Elena, But she cut me off, rising to her feet and raking her fingers through her hair. You just don't understand, do you? This isn't cutting it anymore. You're not cutting it anymore. I want a partner who brings real worth to my world, not one who pulls me under with these lame efforts at being considerate. My gut churned. What do you mean? She grinned coldly, folding her arms. I'm done with you, Sarah. I've found someone new, Nina. She's 22, full of life, and she gets how to enjoy things, unlike you. Her statement struck like a blow, but I wouldn't show the pain. And you believe this is how to break it to me, after I invested so much emotion into this? She let out a harsh, mocking chuckle. Your emotions? That's your issue, Sarah. You're all feelings and no substance. I need better. I stayed quiet for a beat, her insults ringing in my ears, and then, unexpectedly, I began to chuckle. It wasn't forced or resentful. It was real, booming, slicing through the heavy atmosphere. What's so amusing? Elena demanded, her eyes squinting. I got up, still giggling, and grabbed the album. You have no clue what you're abandoning? I flipped to the last section. What are you on about? She asked, doubt seeping in. I extracted the tucked-away title document from the end and displayed it. This, the title to a lakeside cabin I purchased for us. I plan to reveal it tonight, but I suppose that's not happening. Her mouth fell open. You got a lakeside cabin? I grinned pleasantly, tucking the document into my bag. Seems Nina won't get to relax there, huh? Elena's expression shifted to a blend of shock and alarm. For the first time that night, she was speechless. You acquired a cabin? She stuttered at last, her arrogant poise crumbling. When did you start handling big choices like that? I cocked my head, my grin steady. Since I figured out I couldn't count on you for anything substantial, Elena. While you were off chasing thrills with a 22-year-old, I was planning ahead for us. How foolish of me to assume we shared the same vision. She tried to respond but shut her mouth, her gaze flicking to the album on the table. It was like she was piecing together how this had escaped her grasp. You're exaggerating, she said eventually, though her words lacked strength. This alters nothing. Nina and you, I interrupted, shaking my head. Elena, I'm past Karen. Grab her, grab your thrilling existence, and exit mine. You've made your position crystal clear. I left the den and headed to the room we'd once cohabited, her fumbling justifications trailing behind. As I gathered an overnight duffel, I heard her striding back and forth, likely scheming to recover without confessing her massive error. I stopped briefly, eyeing the framed shots on the bureau, our ceremony images, vacations we'd shared, instances that once brimmed with potential. They seemed like artifacts from a bygone era, one I'd gripped too tightly for too long. When I re-entered the den, Elena stood near the entrance, arms crossed in what I guessed was a bid to appear collected. You're actually bailing? She questioned, her voice disbelieving. I am, I stated plainly, slipping by her. This is absurd, she barked. You're acting spiteful, Sarah. You'll rue this. I halted at the threshold, pivoting to meet her eyes. Perhaps, but at least I won't rue lingering in a union where I'm merely a joke to you. With that, I ventured into the evening breeze, cool on my skin. I sensed the burden of Elena's demands easing as I drove off, the title secure in my satchel. I wasn't departing with mere possessions. I was departing with something priceless. The insight that I merited more. Let Elena chase her thrills. I was finished enacting the devoted spouse in her egocentric drama. I headed directly to Sophie's place. She was the sole individual who'd grasp what transpired without criticism. When she answered, she eyed me and scowled. What did she pull this time? May I enter? I inquired, my tone firm yet weary. She moved aside, ushering me in. Naturally, kitchen or lounge? Kitchen, I replied, aware she'd soon grab the vino. Soon after, we sat at her modest kitchen counter, a goblet of Cabernet before me, her full focus opposite. So, she prompted, reclining, let it out. I drew a breath, narrating from the photo book to Elena's biting comments to her bold declaration about Nina. By the cabin reveal, her jaw hung low. She labeled you worthless after everything you've contributed, she exclaimed, her pitch climbing with outrage. And then dared to say she was ditching for some 22-year-old? Seriously? I shook my head, twirling the wine. That's Elena, ever so cocky, always expecting I'd cave and tolerate it. But you didn't, Sophie noted, a grin piercing her fury. You bolted. You reclaimed the cabin. And frankly, Sarah, bravo. Hearing her articulate it shifted something within me. I hadn't merely fled Elena, I'd fled years of striving to become someone she'd value, someone who'd eternally fall short. What's next? Sophie queried, jolting me from reverie. I'm unsure, I confessed. I've been so entangled in salvaging our bond, I barely recognize myself beyond it. Sophie extended a hand over mine. You'll discover it gradually, but first, crash here tonight. No debate. I grinned. Thanks, Sophie. That night on her sofa, fatigue from the ordeal overtook me, but beneath lurked relief. Elena ceased being my concern. For ages I'd twisted myself to please her, and now I was free. I was uncertain of tomorrow, but eager to explore. The morning post Elena, I awoke in Sophie's lounge to my phone buzzing incessantly on the side table. Groggy, I snatched it, peering at the display. Missed calls, 7, texts, 16, all from Elena. I unlocked it, scanning the flood. Where are you? We must discuss. You're acting immature, Sarah. You can't simply vanish. The final one elicited a wry chuckle. Vanish, that's precisely what she claimed she was doing yesterday. Sophie entered, coffee mug in tow. Let me predict, Elena. Spot on, I grumbled, displaying the device. She's unraveling. What did she anticipate, she remarked, placing the brew before me. You don't mistreat someone and feign surprise when they cease enduring it. I agreed, savoring the coffee. She's unaccustomed to repercussions. She's perpetually evaded accountability, her conceit, her self-centeredness, but not this round. Later, another message arrived, snagging my notice. I'll swing by the place soon. We need to resolve this. My place, she still behaved as if it were hers, like she could waltz in and out. I contemplated retorting, ordering her away, but recalled Sophie's prior advice. Let her simmer a while. Instead, I disregarded it and passed the day with Sophie, aiding her tasks and reconnecting on neglected aspects of my existence. By evening's return home, Elena's vehicle occupied the drive. I parked curbside, steadying myself before approaching. She paced the den upon my entry, her face a fusion of ire and urgency. You deign to appear, she snapped. I reside here, I responded evenly, depositing my bag on the counter. Why are you here? We must converse, she urged, her pitch mellowing. This has spiraled. I crossed my arms, propping against the counter. What spiraled, Elena? That I defended myself, or that you're seeing Nina isn't the gem you imagined? Her jaw clenched, I braced for eruption, but she slumped onto the sofa, fingers combing her hair. Fine, I erred. I wasn't rational, but we can mend this. I shook my head, a sardonic laugh slipping out. Mend this, Elena, this isn't a shattered dish. It's years of you undervaluing me, belittling my efforts, and assuming I'd grin through it. Sarah, she began, but I interjected. No, you don't dictate repairs. You chose, now endure it. I seized my bag and ascended, leaving her dazed and quiet. The day following Elena's outburst, I boxed her items, placed them orderly by the entry, and swapped the locks. When she returned that night, smug as usual, I confronted her on the stoop with a resolute look and a dossier in grasp. "What's this?" she inquired, eyeing the documents. "Your stuff," I indicated the case nearby. "And this is the attorney's details I engaged this morning. Expect her outreach shortly." Her jaw set, yet she couldn't forgo a final jab. "You're overdoing it, Sarah. You can't manage without me." I smiled thinly. "We'll find out. Now, off my stoop." She gazed, her assurance wavering at last, before snatching the case and storming away. Over the ensuing fortnight, Elena's void resembled fresh air. The home grew calmer, tidier, feeling like a haven rather than a war zone. I kept occupied, immersing in my career, rekindling ties with pals, and relying on Sophie for solace. She was ecstatic seeing me assert myself. "Good riddance," she declared upon hearing I'd ousted Elena. "She was a parasite, Sarah. Your improved sans her." I recognized her truth, but in hushed moments, often late nights, uncertainty sneaked in. Had I chosen wisely? What if regret struck? Those notions faded swiftly, particularly after Elena's call. "Sarah," she uttered, her voice strained with vexation. "We need to chat." I exhaled, already fatigued pre-dialogue. "What now, Elena?" "It's Nina," she confessed, acrimony lacing each syllable. "She's bolted." A smirk tugged at my lips. "Oh?" "She ridiculed me," she hissed, words tumbling. "Called me pitiful, said I squandered the sole decent aspect I possessed. She couldn't fathom I let you retain the cabin." Now I beamed fully. "Ah, the cabin. That must have hurt." "She dubbed me a fool," she pressed, bypassing my irony. "A total failure for forfeiting all you'd built." Then she departed. It was nearly too gratifying hearing the woman who'd demeaned me, undervalued me, and believed she could swap me for youth face her deeds' fallout. "And you're contacting me why?" I queried coolly. "Because I blundered," she admitted, her voice softening. "A massive blunder. Can we discuss, please?" I shook my head invisibly. "No, Elena, nothing to discuss. You prepared your nest. Now rest in it." Before reply, I disconnected, letting hush envelop like a comforting shroud. That evening, tea in hand on the sofa, profound ease washed over me. Elena's world unraveled, but it wasn't my burden. I reclaimed my existence and advanced without glance back. The separation proceeded swifter than expected. My attorney aided in sorting finances, log and all, ensuring my safeguard. In her chambers, perusing the completed forms, a peculiar emotion blend surged: alleviation, finality, and faint incredulity. This life phase concluded. "All appears sturdy," my attorney noted, paging through. "Elena lacks much sway, especially uncontested. Honestly, she knows she's ill-positioned to contest." I nodded, a faint smile emerging. "I believe she's grasped I'm no doormat," she presumed. She laughed. "You've clarified that." Exiting her office that afternoon, an unrecognized load lifted. Forms submitted, funds safe, Elena officially excised, on record and in truth. Timing was impeccable. That night, Sophie arrived with wine and her flair for toasting triumphs. "To Sarah," she proclaimed, lifting her glass, "who booted Elena curbside and seized her destiny." I chuckled, clinking. "To Sophie, the pal who never uttered, 'I warned you.'" "Not yet," she jested, sipping. As night progressed, we discussed my tomorrows, her recent exploits, and Elena's spectacular tumble. "So," Sophie leaned back, smirking, "think she's still lamenting Nina?" "Likely," I answered, grinning. "But she lacks much else. No partner, no cabin, no paramour. I nearly pity her." "Nearly," Sophie echoed, chuckling. Post-Sophie, in my home stillness, I pondered all occurred. The former me, who contorted to satisfy Elena, fretted over her nod, seemed remote. This fresh self, who could jest at her demise and delight in life reclamation, was permanent. Elena had misjudged me, but I hadn't. I was precisely positioned. The post-divorce weeks whirled with shifts, but the turmoil felt mine to command sans Elena's overhang on choices. I rediscovered fragments buried under her censure and claims. It transcended reconstruction. It meant flourishing. Among initial acts, touring the lakeside cabin, long a vague emblem of optimism, a pledge for our horizon, now solely mine, detached from Elena or her hubris. Arriving at the site, bordered by tranquil waters and lofty evergreens, pride surged. I'd achieved this, manifested this vision, not for Elena, not us, but me. Within, it matched my vision, snug yet roomy, vast panes framing scenic vistas. I spent the weekend solo, unboxing, positioning furnishings, relishing tranquility from not sharing with an ungrateful soul. Sophie visited next weekend, infusing her vibrant vibe. "This spot's incredible," she twirled in the lounge. "How'd you conceal it so long?" Unsure, I laughed, wanted perfection pre-share, and truthfully feared Elena spoiling it. "It's flawless now," she flopped on the sofa. "You earn every inch." I smiled, warmth unrelated to sunbeams through glass. I sensed true entitlement to goodness. As weeks morphed to months, I replenished life with deferred pursuits, resumed sketching, hours depicting lake allure and encircling forests. Enrolled in a nearby art group, something Elena derided as frivolous. Began voyaging, not duty-bound, not expectation meeting, but desired. Each venture a minor uprising against my Elena-era self. I wasn't surviving, I prospered. One dusk, wine glass on cabin porch. I mulled the discarded life. No rage, no grudge, just thanks for insights gained and liberty earned. Months post-finalization, existence stabilized into fresh cadence. The cabin turned refuge for solitary musings or friend gatherings and found serenity. Sophie frequented, often wine-laden with tales of her feats. "You've utterly evolved, you know," she remarked one dusk by the fire ring, lake-viewed. I eyed her, brow arched. "Evolved how?" Sophie beamed. Old Sarah fussed over others' ease, stressing pillow plumpness or drink levels. This Sarah, she motioned at me in loungewear, blanket draped, is chilled, joyful, indifferent to opinions. I laughed, wine sipping. "I've learned I control solely my joy. Pleasing Elena resembled filling a leaky pail, never sufficient." Those teachings spread past home. I freelanced, long desired, but unpursued. Elena deeming it erratic. Now timetable mine, liberty thrilling. A client firm beckoned me for staff seminar lead. It rekindled dormant assurance. "Why no personal venture?" the exec queried post-session. The query echoed post-departure. Why not? Weeks on, I foundationed my advisory outfit, daunting yet sans self-restraint from flop fear or Elena's scorn. Sophie rallied each phase, even naming Aurora Advisors, she proposed, eyes aglow. "Since you've dawned anew, like the powerhouse you are." I eye-rolled, but smiled. Aurora Advisors it is. As I invested in the venture, purpose absent for years resurfaced. Each minor victory, fresh patron, rave feedback, triumphant endeavor, recalled progress. For each, a hushed thanks, for unearthed fortitude, backing comrades, life rebuild chance on my terms. One dusk, laptop on porch, finalizing venture schemes, phone hummed Elena's message. "Can we chat?" I stared, then erased unreplied. Some elements best pass bound. 6 months post-Elena departure, on cabin porch, sun sinking horizon ward, lake agleam in amber and rose, once extravagance, now self-vow upheld. I'd forged proud life, Aurora Advisors flourished beyond inception dreams. Client, hour, project selection, liberty vitalized me anew. Sophie visited that dusk, pastry box from nearby shop. "Never thought I'd voice this." She table set the box. But Elena gifted you. I laughed, pouring wine. You're correct. Sans her cruelty, I might linger striving her contentment. She toasted. To Elena, Globe's dimmest bulb, for liberating you. We clinked, laughing, her words lingering post-departure. I'd fixated on advance, scarcely reflecting transformations. The shy self craving Elena's thumbs up seemed alien. This fresh existence transcended fleeing toxic tie. It meant rediscovering identity, desires, joys. I held the keys. As star-speckled heavens, I seized pad and stylus scrawling futures. Aurora marketing ploy, voyage spots, once undreamt aims. Later, pad shut, lake-gazing, realization struck. Not merely Elena expectation-free, but self-doubt-free. The shrinkers, fear keepers. A month on, client email arrived. Keynote invite. Intrigued, I read, sought my entrepreneurship tale at Sector Summit, spotlighting Aurora Advisors' rise. Briefly, I wavered. Public oration, never forte. Elena mocked my casual chat, stumbles, let alone formal address. But her echo mattered not. I replied, delighted to join. Keynote prep consumed, Sophie boosted, energy channeled to genuine narrative. No gloss, Sophie counseled. Recount raw, setbacks, victories. That's connective. I complied. Summit day dawned. Backstage, nerves, excitement blend familiar. Host introed, I stage stepped to courteous claps. Deep breath. I'm Sarah, and a year passed, this podium unimaginable. Then life orbited, fulfilling unbelievers' standards. Today, here via self-faith. Speaking, sharing Aurora Advisors, rebirth from rediscovery, I saw nods, leans, smiles, notes. My voice resonated, not solely self, but others. Post-talk, attendees shared struggles, rebounds. You motivated me, one woman emoted. Thanks for late start reminder. Her phrase echoed conference exit, empowerment peaking. That dusk, cabin porch sitting, I contemplated paths here, ache, deceit, uncertainties, all journey parts, Elena, distant recall, messages ignored, Nina correct, Elena fool, but validation unneeded from her. Elena, anyone. I'd crafted beloved life stepwise, just commencing. This my narrative now, every syllable mine.